Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. We are super excited because in today's episode, we have a special guest, none other than Rashmi Gosh. She's one of the artists in the Art Next Level program who is doing a fascinating project about the Stepwells in India. So we're going to hear about her story, how she came up with the idea, what she's doing about it, and then some exciting things and events that are coming also for Rashmi along the way. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be a great chat, and you do not want to miss it.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hi Rashmi, hi Drew. Good to see you both. Super happy to connect and have you here in the podcast today, like always. So Drew is giving me a good company today. He's going to co-host with me in this wonderful interview with our guest today. And Drew and I have been quite looking forward to this chat because we know Rashmi from our Art Next Level program from the community for quite some time. Also, we have both of those done one-on-one sessions with Rashmi, so we're very familiar with her project. We have seen her progress, so it's going to be really fun. But before I introduce Rashmi, just want to say hi to Drew. How are you, Drew? How are you doing?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you. And welcome, Rashmi. Really excited about this one. We have known, as Sergio said, we've known each other for quite a while. We've worked together on this project and on many, boot camps and everything else at the Artist Next Level. So I think this is a really great opportunity. We have lots to talk about today. So Sergio, take it away.
Excellent. Well, Rashmi, officially we welcome you into the episode. And why don't we start if you can tell our friends a little bit about you. Where are you located in the world? A little bit of also how did you find us here inside the Art Next Level program and how you began that journey here with us?
Well, Sergio and Drew, thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. Well, I'm joining you all from the twin city of Pune, that is also Pune, which is very near to Mumbai. It's about 2 hours drive from Mumbai, India. And I have been working on the Stepwells Project since, say, February 2022, after I had a one-to-one session with Drew, and I'm enjoying myself.
That's exciting.
Wonderful.
That's exciting, Rashmi. It's always been fun. And prior to start recording, I think we were talking about trying to remember when did you join the Art Next Level program, and do you remember when that was, Rashmi?
It was in December 2020. I remember I had gone for a holiday and I suddenly saw this online because I was doing solo trip. So evenings was like, I didn't have much to do. So I followed the boot camp and I liked it because I got a discount and I joined it. So that was from December 2020.
Did you say like, who are these people? Who are these guys? Sounds interesting. Let's see what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Well, we sure are. I know, I can speak for everybody in our group, and that's including the members. We are extremely grateful for your participation in what you offer to the group, your inspiration, your drive, your curiosity, your communication is fantastic, Rashmi. You are definitely a vital member of our group, and I'm very proud, as is Sergio. I believe that we have had this sort of one-on-one together with you, studio practice, and we have the marketing, and I believe there's some wellness, so one-to-ones as well. And I think, you really are full, head on into your career. And I think that's, part and parcel, with the program we've got. And we are so fortunate that you signed up in 2020. 2020. 2020. Yes.
Very exciting. So, Rashmi, when you came to the program, you were definitely not doing what you are doing now, which we're going to get into that in a second. I would love to talk a little bit about that journey as you came, to the program and meeting, all the other artists who were in the program too. You had a different kind of idea of what you wanted to do. tell us a little bit about, what led to the Stepwell project, and then we'll go into depth in that conversation. But just tell us, how you got there, coming from, an artist who, is trying to find your way and what you want to say to the world through your art. That, what were the steps that led you to the Stepwell project?
Well, first of all, I enjoyed the studio visits on our Art Next Level. They were amazing, and I loved that the artists could be with the project for a very long time, and that gave that particular artist a very uh, great time to get into the project and do much more compared to. So in 2021 I was doing short projects, but mostly my projects were like about the I felt that we have spoiled the environment after this coronavirus. So I thought about Lord Ganesha coming down and helping us to clear our act. And then it was mostly about environment, and it was also about the history and culture of India. And then suddenly the beginning of 2022 I did a small 3 by 2 canvas on the one of the Stepwells photograph that I took from my visit to Rajasthan, India. And then I had sent that image to Drew, and like after we did the one-to-one session, so Drew gave me the idea. He said, why don't you work on these stepwells, because you are aware of environmental degradation that we are having, and you are also very you love your culture and tradition and heritage of India, so you can combine these together and go for it. So I jumped at the idea. I said, let's do it. And I didn't know much about them. I kept on documenting, I kept on visiting, but I'm glad I did it.
Well, you certainly are a leader in the field, as it were, now, and I think that this is really important about uh, we take our we when we join a group such as the Artist Next Level. We go in there with we're clearly there for a reason, either through the marketing or through new creative or new studio practice or wellness or something. We're in search of something, and I think you were in search of something when you started. You had some artistic talent, clearly, already. You had some visions as to what you wanted to do, and you were doing, as I recall, you were doing some figurative work, you were doing some spiritual work, some mandala work, which is common to that sort of, as I, if I could say, the Indian cultural metaphors. And I think you did so well with those. But I think what I believe you really, when you changed, it was when you took that photograph of the stepwell. I think that was the turning point in your career, and in a turning point in your way of thinking about all of a sudden that image could reflect, could be encompass all the things about your environment issues, the religion that you were familiar with, the cultural stuff, the community, everything came together in that one picture. And I think that that's a very interesting point, where I think and in sense, I suppose that was, did you say 2021 when you took that photo? With
Yes.
that photo, you've now become uh, one of the leaders, really, in India, championing the stepwell concept and bringing that to a greater awareness. So you must be very proud of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when last year the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, selected four of my
Mhm.
works for the Biennale. I mean, I
That's
was
amazing.
like, I was down with gratitude. I started crying. I said, I mean, I can't believe this is happening.
That's amazing. That's
Well,
amazing.
it's a lot of
And
work.
yeah, exactly. And what a great way to be able to, pull back from that moment. And, those are the things that kind of reaffirm that you are going in the right direction, right? That says,
Yeah.
that this is important. What I love about your project, Rashmi, too, as we look at the stepwells is you're looking back at the history of your country, which you love, which is connected to the work that you were doing. At the same time, you're doing something that is incredibly timely, with the world climate change and then water. Around the world, everybody is concerned about water, right? And this is a topic that goes now from being a local idea to now becoming, part of the international conversation, right? The changing of the
Yeah.
environment, the water crisis, and all these things. So in that respect, you jump from being local centric to now, international in scope, because your ideas are ideas that can be also looked at by other cultures, by other um, people who are also working with water, right, in their own way, in their own form. I would love if you could tell us a little bit about, also for our friends who might not know, about the stepwells. What are exactly the stepwells in India? Tell us a little about the history of that,
Mhm.
and what is, the part that makes you excited about the stepwells.
Mhm. Good you came up with this because I was just thinking about this. Let me talk about the stepwells for those people who don't know about it.
Exactly.
Actually, these are steps leading to water. They were made to conserve and preserve water because in India we have a cycle where it rains for, say, very heavily for 3 months, and then the remaining 8 9 months are mostly dry. So
Mm.
they had to have water in those catchment areas. And see, water is needed in our rituals, whether we are Hindus or whether are Muslims, which are the
Mm.
mostly dominated population in India. And it was also used not only for religious purposes, it was used as a confluence of cultures where people used to come and they used to discuss their daily matters. The daytime, the women used to dominate the place because they had to do their housework, used to do their cleaning of their vessels or clothes and under that. And men were not allowed to come during daytime. In the evening time, the men would gather and they would talk about, say, the regional politics or whatever was the concern for the particular village or town or that. And they have made such incredible structures, and they are like 7 8 stories down. Now each stepwell is so different and unique. That is, I was so impressed by the architecture. I was wondering how did they construct it in those days, because we know they didn't have these modern equipments that we have today. And last year I did an online course where the architect of those temples, ancient temples of India, how they used to do. That gentleman, he comes from a family of architects, of temple architects. And he was telling us how they go about it, because mostly next to the temple is this stepwell. And it's incredible, it's amazing. They use a local material and they used to go down, dig down, they used to remove the earth. They had women to help them to remove the earth from inside, and then they used to put some kind of stones or something so that the earth won't fall down. And you know it's really incredible when we think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and are
So now
are
they.
they still open? I'm sorry. Are they still open? Are the stepwells accessible to people?
Some of them have been declared as UNESCO heritage sites. Some of them have been adopted by the Archaeological Survey of India, and some of them have been adopted by the local bodies.
Mm.
Of course, some of them are dilapidated. Some of them, have been vandalized and reused. Their materials have been reused.
Mm.
But there's a growing concern in India where we have to, save these stepwells. We have to, at least, even if we are not using them as water bodies. Some places they use it for irrigation. But in some places they are using it, they're reviving it, they're cleaning it up, and they are using it for cultural programs, so that people can go there. And there are exhibits and exhibitions also held at these places. So when I attended a panel discussion at the Binale, somebody said that we can also use these spaces for for more kind of activities like cultural programs and other activities also.
So this is in a form, it's kind of community centric or centered. You would they would ultimately like to see these stepwells being used much more widely for the community, because they, not only from a preservation standpoint, that ensures that they're preserved, but also utilized and brought back as an important part of that community, whether it's religious or social or activities such as cleaning or water itself, having access to water. This is very interesting, but I'm curious. You mentioned something as you were speaking there about, how the women would be, generally in the daytime, they would be doing their activities. This was probably a bit of a gossip thing, all the women get together and that kind of thing. And then the men come in at night, talk politics, talk whatever they talk about. As an artist, as a visual artist, as a female visual artist in India, I know that you don't have that artistic training or the professional training. You are trained in a completely different field, probably much like the Indian parentage that say, well, there's, you don't want to be an artist, you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an architect or something, something to ensure your, well-being as you get older. But you did that for years, and then you've come into the painting. Is there a new sort of I guess what I'm trying to think of is like women being the visual artists and dealing with a subject matter such as this, which is the temples, which is the water, the stepwells. Do you feel that you have a greater support now, as opposed to a number of years ago when perhaps there wasn't interest? You as a female artist, are you gaining much more open recognition for this, or is it still difficult?
Well, I don't think so. They discriminate between male or female here. They just see the good artwork. Of course, established artists are more sought out, but I
Yes.
think emerging artists in India are also getting their platforms. There are a lot of
Yeah.
mentorship programs which are coming up, and people are getting interested. I think your work speaks for you. I mean,
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah.
there's not much of a discrimination. Of course, there's a little bit of groupism here and there, but I'm sure you can evade all that and
Mm.
just showcase your work. Like I always go with Sergio. He says just do your art and show it. Just show it to different
Yeah.
people
Show up.
and different platforms and keep on doing it.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's interesting, and I'm glad to hear this because in some cultures, and I've just had a recent conversation with a number of artists here where I am, and there is still a difficulty for some female artists. They tend to have that back seat to the male artists, and then particularly if they're dealing with heritage or heritage sites and that kind of thing, or heritage concepts. It tends to be a little bit more male dominated. That was really the only reason I asked. India has always been progressive in its,
yeah.
not only in its art, but its gender equality. So that's good to know, and it's
Yeah,
really good to see that you are taking something as monumental as these stepwells are, and you being at the helm now, and showing in biennales and being recognized for it. It's fantastic. Really,
No, I must
congratulations on
at
that.
this topic. I'm sorry I interrupted, but I must tell you that there is a lady from Hyderabad, Kalpana Ramesh. She is called the Water Warrior because she goes around and she, adopts these step wells and she gets the whole
Wow.
community to clean it, preserve it, and they have done a wonderful work. So she's
Hmm.
done one Bansali Pet at Hyderabad, and where people have all these cultural programs there, and now she's adopting some more and she's creating a huge amount of awareness. So it's like if you're good at your job you can get everything done.
Yes,
I
indeed.
love that.
Well, I have no doubt that you are very good at your job too. Behind the doors, things that we don't see, the contacts that you make, and the business side that you continue to do. I think you are doing amazing things. Sergio, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
totally. And I think, Rashmi, I think definitely, when I think of the work that you're doing, you are an artist who takes no for an answer, right? It's about finding the solution, right? You're not looking for a yes or no. You're like, how do I do it, right? How do I make
Yes.
it happen? And that is great. I think that's a great example for anyone, who has an idea and says, well, step one, let's do research. And that's what you have done. You started
Mhm.
with that photograph and it's like, well, that wasn't enough. And then you had to go and read about it. You went and you visit sites, and then you started talking to people, then, making a list of who you needed to talk to, and then going to conferences. And the more and more you go in depth in the subject, you become more of an expert, as you said, in this area. And you're bringing something new to the table, as well as a visual artist, taking all this information and creating something in the form of art that others can then think about, okay, what is this? Why is this important? And asking those questions, even from people from around the world, which I would love to ask you, as you also have become more savvy with your social media in sharing about the projects that you are doing too. Again, in a world that's more and more connected through the internet and through social media. Tell me about some of the conversations maybe you have had with other artists or other people who have seen your work and have perhaps or wondered what is this Stepwell thing. Tell me about some of that, some of those experiences.
Through the Art Next Level, I've been connected with artists all over the world. And many people like Martin, he liked my work. He said, I really like it. Then I think there is a lady in London. I'm forgetting her name, but she said she loves to hear me talk about the Stepwells even when she's driving. Like when we have these, breakfast with Drew, and then I talk about my passion. So I'm getting such lovely feedback.
Hmm.
And in fact, from the Art Next Level, not only Sergio and Drew, both of you have been very, very supportive about my work and very encouraging, because I come from a finance background. I was teaching finance, and this pandemic was, really helpful to make me think that I cannot teach online. I need to be with my students. And then I shifted. I just shifted
Mm.
focus. I shifted direction. I got Art Next Level, and then 1 year I dabbled. I listened to everything, and then from 2022 I got my dream project. And that's what, it's taking me some time to get my solo show. But I always thought, no, I need 3 years at least to prepare for
Mhm.
it, because I need to do a good work. And the
Yeah.
four works which are selected for this Biennale, and I'm so happy that both the curators who are established in their fields, one is working for the National Art Gallery in Delhi.
Hmm.
They both loved my paintings. They said your work is unique, and I was like, oh my God, thank God that you love them.
Well,
That's
you should be very proud of that because it is, and I think it's only unique because you made it unique. I mean, you found that little angle that it was the unexpected in making your work, and I think it's that angle that says that told the world that you are a force to be reckoned with. Your ideas are worthy of listening on a global stage. And I think, as you say, you sort of laid out a plan. I think maybe that's your business background. You had a 3-year kind of plan. Let's develop the program. Let's develop my techniques. Let's develop my confidence, and then I'm going to release it to the world. So I think we're just at the beginning or the midway through that 3-year program, and I think you are going to excel. Given a little bit more time and a little bit more contacts, I think we're going to start to see your work all over the world, and you all over the world hosting and informing us about the very subject that you are passionate about, and that is the Stepwells. And I think that this takes me to another point. Actually, was I wanted to ask you about legacy. I mean, we don't often talk about legacy in our as career artists. We don't think we're going anywhere soon. Uh, but however, our work and our process will go on for, we hope, a long time after we go. The Is it important to have a legacy for you? Are you leaving a legacy for your family name, or is it for the community? Tell me. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I am working on my will this year. So I'm going to not only my financial and investments part of it, I'm going to leave a legacy for people. Like I've been talking about the Stepwells. Many
Yes.
people are not aware because it's not a very, hot touristy site to visit. Few of
Yeah.
them are very, very popular. But people don't, whenever they go somewhere, they don't particularly go to visit any particular stepwell as such. So I've been telling people and I've been writing. In fact, I plan to write a book. I've been writing blogs on my website and I'm
Mm.
collecting data. And I have just got my photographer last week to do drone shots of them, and they've come very wonderful. So I want to
Wonderful.
write a book, and I want people to be aware, like uh, those constructs, those architects, they did a wonderful job, and we can just honor them by today. By if we are not using, we have all moved from these step wells and others to the modern way of water management, like pipes and taps and all that. But
Mm.
we can at least conserve this heritage because this is a unique to India. You don't find
Yes.
these temples anywhere in the world. This was a unique idea, which has been in India since prehistoric times, since the
Yes.
Harappan
Yeah.
times. So they are still excavating them. So let's preserve, conserve, and leave it for our kids, and let them also understand what's going on, and what used to go on, and how to how to keep them better.
Mhm.
Wonderful. You speak with such passion. It's lovely to see. It's really lovely
Yeah.
to see. And I think that this, as we've talked about before, you are just at the beginning of your own journey. Really, you're just opening the book. You've just flipped the cover open. Now you're going to get into the sort of the meat of the project. And I think what is going to come will be amazing. What plans do you have? What is it that you, as apart from the book and so forth, where are you going next with your work? Another biennale
Well,
somewhere, or
no, this year I'm working on my solo. That is a very my curator has been after me since last year. You get a date, and the venue is almost fixed, but the date is still, um,
and where will that be, in
it will
Mumbai
be in
or
my
in?
city. It will be in my city. It will be in my
Okay,
city,
okay,
and so
wonderful,
that I
great.
can, talk properly. I love that place where we have selected. So we are still working on those, and so that will be the end of this year. Say maybe in September we are planning.
Wonderful.
After that, then I will take it forward. Then I need to take it to Mumbai because there are good galleries in Mumbai, and it's a commercial hub. So first, like Sergio said, go local first. So
Yes.
just catch the people who are
Hmm.
nearby. And once, of course, mine went, national level, and I didn't plan it. It just happened. But I'm also looking for some grant, so I'll be applying. But all these takes a lot of time. But my first focus, like the last video that you and Sergio said, that you should prioritize. So my first priority is getting more work done and getting the solo done
Yes.
at least. So, and after that, let me take one step at a time.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's
This.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And if I could ask Rashmi, I know also, as part of the process of working on this solo too, and you've been creating some larger paintings as well. I would love to hear a little bit about that. Also, your trajectory in the studio too, in the process of not only you're challenging yourself with learning about the step wells, you're challenging yourself to talking to people you had never known before, to working with a curator for the first time on a solo show. You're challenging yourself in many areas. I would love to hear in the studio how you're challenging yourself too, because I see you're making bigger and bigger paintings.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. The courage that sometimes as artists, we need to say, you know what, I need to bite the bullet. I need to go bigger, or I need
I
to do X, Y, and Z.
I know for every art class that I attended, my art teacher always told me that you just need a push. So I'm so happy Drew gives me the push all the time. So when I asked him, Drew, I want to go bigger, like I was working 2 by 3 feet, I said, I want to go bigger. Should I directly jump to 5 by 4 feet? He said, yeah, of course.
He said, go
Yeah.
big or go home, right? That's what he said,
I said,
probably.
go
Yeah.
home, go ahead. So I ordered 10 of them. And I said, let me
See,
start.
10. She orders 10. You know,
So I have a bad cough. Sorry. But, I'm on the seventh one. Maybe I'll have the 7 big ones. But they were wonderful. I got so much of space to do so many things. Then I had some perspective issues. So I did some classes. I did some online classes with architects, and I got them right because these are very complicated structures. So we don't have just simple perspective. We have very different structures, and these structures have been drawn by artists. Sometimes they go there plain air, and they've done watercolors and all that, but nobody I feel has taken up such a challenging topic. I myself didn't know it was so challenging.
yeah, this is a you are drawing a very complicated architectural study, because it's first of all, it's all underground. This is not something that you're seeing in 3 dimensions in a way. On the outside, you're seeing the inner 3 dimensions of a very large structure. And yeah, this was another thing I really liked about Rashmi. It was that, she took the criticism, a critique of her work, which she asked me to do, was one of the criticisms that I had was, it's very difficult to get this perspectives correct. And perspective is not an easy thing to learn. A 2 or 3 or 4 point perspective, you're looking at multiple ways of seeing things. And what I was impressed with was the fact that you just jumped in, you went on to online courses, you learned, you went to get books, you studied perspective in order to get those paintings perfect. And you did it. And it was it's just a testament to your passion, that you're not going to say no yet, you're going to continue to go, and you're going to push it further until you've mastered that. And I think that applies to almost every aspect of your career. Look at your social media, look at your ability to write proposals, to get into biennales. That all comes from, I would hope, this program. Sergio's teachings, your spiritual and your wellness through Dr. Yanina. I can't help but think that since you've joined this program, I think you've just accelerated through it at such a rapid pace. And
now you're making reels and everything.
Yeah, making reels. I mean, you were really, I get tired just watching. And you're doing it all. So I really commend you for your enthusiasm and for your ability to just say, I'm not there yet, but I will be. And you go ahead and you just do it. You just jump in. I think that is, again, something I think the program, facilitates. We try to encourage people to gain that confidence, in not only in their artistic ability, but their ability to, jump into a letter writing campaign or social media or marketing. So I think you've done a fantastic job, and that will be your legacy. People, I think, will look back on Rashmi Gosh, with her work, not only from the painting perspective, but they're going to see that whole progress that you did. You influenced a global population to really consider these monuments that you are dedicated to. So congratulations on that.
Thank
in
you.
advance.
That's great.
So
And I love that. Totally agree. Totally agree with Drew. And Rashmi, as we have this podcast and we have artists who listen from around the world and tune into it, I'm sure there's an artist right now listening who is the Rashmi of 3 years ago. And like not exactly knowing where to go, what to do
yeah,
next, perhaps stuck, perhaps trying to find their mojo, right? Trying to find their voice. Can you speak to that artist for a minute and just give them a word of encouragement the way Rashmi knows how to do it, so that artists can, find the inspiration, find the courage to keep pushing? What
Yeah,
would you tell to an artist?
first I think you should just believe in yourself, even if people criticize, even if there are challenges, but then if you believe in yourself, if you believe it will happen.
mm.
In fact, in the morning I was just reading a book by forgot her name. What was that American, the TV host? So she's very good. She's
Oprah.
from African or Oprah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so if you believe, if you believe, you can. So, and your choices matter. You should know what you want. And if you believe you can, and you should get yourself a good mentor. That I
Mm,
did when I was a professor. And this I did when I am an artist now.
Hmm.
And you should get a good mentor in marketing also. So I got somebody like Sergio, who's like so market savvy, and he's churning up data after data. And I really find it difficult to catch up with you. Then I said, let me take my own sweet time and let me just catch up whenever I can, because my priority is my art. So just believe in yourself and take the right choice. And I'm sure the universe will help you whenever you want to
mhm.
do something very badly, very passionately.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So that's it.
Wonderful.
Those are wonderful words,
I'm
Rashmi.
sold.
Thank you. Exactly. Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me
Yeah.
up.
So, yeah, I think Rashmi, you have a lot to give, and I think
Yeah.
the younger generations also in India, where you're at in your own city, will see the work that you're doing, and I'm sure you will inspire many as well, as you are doing through this podcast. And we are recording this the end of January or so, but somebody might arrive to this podcast in mid of August of 2025, for example, and then they will hear you talking, and this is part of your legacy, what you are
Yes, it is.
putting
Yeah.
documenting right now, these words. And I think that's a wonderful thing that
Yeah.
you're doing. And also I ask you, as we started the episode, to think of a question that you may want to ask Drew and a question you may want to ask me. I said whatever you want to ask. So we're going to now switch the seats and make you the host. So Rashmi, ask away. What would you like to ask Drew, or what would you like to ask me?
Well, to Drew, I want to ask, how far do you think I can take my art?
Oh, okay.
Because
Oh,
I
Question.
started this late in my life, and I really don't know how many working years I have. But how far do you think I can go?
well, that's a loaded question, but it's a good question because
Love it.
you have to have a second party perspective on this. You've asked me how long. Well, the sky's the limit. We go until the day we close our eyes and we don't go any further. And I think you have such a passion as an artist. There's no retirement in what we do. You know,
Mhm.
we are. Once you established, I suppose this is I guess this is what they might call a career issue. Is that once you enter into the career as a full time artist and researcher and developer of this of your paintings and your art and what you need, your artistic expression, there is no retirement. So
Get ready. There's no
you
retirement.
yeah, get ready. There's no retirement. You just keep going until you basically had enough, or the body's had enough, or whichever. But I can see amazing things, and sometimes it's hard for you as the artist to see it. It's hard for me to see it as my own artist. Where am I going to be in 10 years time? Who's to know? Who's to know what we're going to do? But I know, Rashmi, after having been working with you now for a couple of years, pretty intensely, I think you have just scratched the surface of a very large and very lucrative and a very uh, amazing career ahead of you as a painter. You've done all the homework. Now it's time for the world to see it. And I think so. The question was, how far can you go? Sky's the limit, my friend.
Thank you.
It's
That's
all up to
very
you.
Wonderful.
Sergio?
wonderful.
Now I'm in the
Yeah.
hot seat.
Yeah, Sergio, this is like my aspiration, my dream aspiration. I want to have a show in your gallery one day. So, how do
Okay.
you think I can take it forward? Not
That is
today,
On
not
the
today,
spot.
that.
not sometime.
Coming over, take a plane. No, I think that's a wonderful question, and I think that's really good. As we look at the places that we all want to be at and the places that we want to exhibit, I think you're doing the right steps. You start where finding the idea, building the body of work, showing off that you mean business, that you're working
Mm,
hard, that there's some aspects in your work that are important that people need to know. And I think you're in the trajectory of,
yes.
of not just my gallery but many galleries who will be interested in your ideas, in what you are doing, based on where this path continues to take you, right? And I think the 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 bigger thinking, if I could say, is really going after the museums. You know,
Yes.
that's really where you really want to go, because the museum has an aspect of, not only the curatorial aspect but also the educational component that's so
Yes.
important for the project that you're doing. Museums share exhibitions with other museums. Museums also not only are in the in the aspect of putting together exhibitions, but also um, capturing what's happening in the world today by artists, and then also safeguarding the works for future generations. So
Yes.
I think every gallery that you arrive to, in India and here in the United States or France, wherever you go, in the future, it will be just one stepstone
To the
to the next
museum.
bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, don't see any gallery or space as the end of it, right? But rather as a one step further. I
Wonderful.
think that would be really great. And actually, Rajmi, when you were talking about your stepwells, I was thinking, how we can merchandise these too, right? I think if you do a calendar, when you have like 12 really good pieces, a calendar with 12 stepwells that you release it, let's say in 2020, well, you release it in December or November of this year. So after you
For
sort of,
25.
so you
Yeah.
can sell it exactly at the beginning of the year, a beautiful calendar that as you go through every month, we learn something about a new step well. Maybe in the back of the calendar, there's a map, where the journey of going through the step wells. And so it becomes something beautiful to look at. It's functional too, because we also like calendars. And then there's also the educational component of it. And of course, the reality that as artists we need to make money too, right? So um,
Yes. Yeah.
finding ways to monetize the project, particularly as you continue making the project, where in order for it to go to different venues, you will need to have those paintings available. So finding ways of
Mm.
how we can also continue funding and having things for people to see. And what I love about calendars, when they're beautiful, even if the calendar has already ended, I have kept a lot of calendars that I just like because I like the artwork, which is, they become like catalogs, they become like books,
Mm.
of artists
The
that I
functional
enjoy.
catalog. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
just to start putting something in your mind to rush me to think about.
Yeah, I will.
In
Lots
your
of things to consider, but I love that idea, Sergio, that use the galleries and use that sort of as a stepping stone.
right.
Really, I agree 100%. I think I've talked to you about this, Rashmi, the idea of where I see your work in a museum, because your work is that important. And then again, working with other artists to fill that museum with installation work. And if they don't do it, you do it.
Yeah.
You have the capabilities of doing installation. You have the capabilities of doing, two-dimensional paintings, three-dimensional work, photography, writing. You're the whole package. You just might have to clone yourself into it, two or three other clones in order to finish all of this, because you have a big project ahead. And I think that you should be very happy to know that you have something to do every day to get up. Some artists don't, and they don't have the vision that you do, and they don't have the drive. So you've got all of that. You're ready to go.
No, I totally imagine, like, technology continues to evolve, right? It continues to get crazier and crazier. Imagine if you walk to a museum where you walk into this room where with projection mapping, it's like if you're walking into the stepwell. That would be really amazing. And then we have your paintings, but like it's an immersive experience. So by just walking in, you're surrounded by the walls of the stepwell and the projected water on the floor. Without putting any material inside the gallery, all of a sudden you're transported because of these immersive experiences, which I think more and more those things will be a lot easier as technology continues to evolve, which is evolving so fast.
Well, do you remember Chicago? I just have to a little story about that. In Chicago, there was a show at the Art Institute in Chicago, and it was it was one gallery that was filled with just video on the floor and walls of water moving. Do you recall?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes,
yeah, and it was so immersive. And I'd mentioned this to Rashmi before, and that is that with our technologies these days, you can, literally, if you dream it, you can do it in 3 dimensions, like Sergio just said. And I was just reminded of this beautiful exhibition at the Art Institute of Chicago that had just moving water. And when you immersed yourself into the space, you felt like you were standing in a running river. And it was the craziest sensation, because everything around you was moving as if you were standing in the water. So again, that's that 3-dimensional, almost ethereal kind of feeling that you can get with your work. So that's another possibility too. So stay tuned, world. We've got Rashmi Gosh coming
with a lot of ideas.
Yes, indeed. What a pleasure it has been to talk to you, Rashmi. Any end thoughts to this that you might want to share?
Follow me on Instagram so that you can listen to the various stories and narrations I have about each stepwell. Each is unique. Some stepwells were used for spying and espionage by the Maratha rulers of Maharashtra, and some were used as beautiful cultural places by the Mughal rulers in India. So there are amazing stories behind each one of them, and there are amazing stories of how I discover them, because they are not just they're lying around everywhere, but it's so difficult to spot them first.
Yeah, well, this is why we're encouraging people, and this is why we have you on today, because there is a greater story here that people need to listen to and to see and to experience. So thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time this early morning in India. And
it's okay. I love mornings. They make me fresh.
I think you wake up with morning people.
I think we're all, the three of us here are morning people. I think because we're passionate about what we do. And that's right. If there's any takeaway from this and our talk with Rashmi today, and with Sergio and with myself, it's, be passionate about what you do. Get up every day with a sort of new step and a new direction. And there you go. That's my ending.
And I think, Drew, that's the best way to end today's episode. Thank you again, Rashmi, for joining us today. Thank you, Drew. This conversation was amazing. Welcome. Please do follow Rashmi, and you will find all the links also under the description of this podcast. And of course, don't forget to also share this podcast with all your friends. Don't forget to give us a review in the podcast. That will help us to get it to more and more artists around the world. So thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And my friends, we will see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.